So I have returned once again today, actually, to deliver a stream of Initial D, the first stage. Are we good to go? But it sounds we actually are. So yes, actually have a return to cover some more Initial D, the first stage. Where we left off last, actually kind of we're in the race, bro. We have to figure out who's gonna win. It's serious. Konbanwa, Genki Deska. It's serious stuff now. It's Takumi versus Keisuke, I believe, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I must say it's getting pretty good. It's getting pretty good. Who's gonna win this battle? I do wonder. Anyway, it's actually put on Twitter, actually gone live. That bit there. Put that bit here. And there we go. And we are good to go. So it's actually a shot on the road. So in 3, 2, 1. It's actually beginning this thing absolutely now. I still do love that this show actually comes with a PSA beforehand. It's like, by the way, do not do anything like this in real life. The good old PSAs. I don't do that so often anymore. It's random nowadays. But anyway, yeah, this show, it's just got a lot of time filled to it. Like, Initial D is just kind of like, it's as old as me at this point. Like, it's 22 years, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm 24 this year, so it's 22 years. So, and it feels like a show that came out, like, recently, because it just, I don't know, it has that kind of, like, it just feels, you can feel, like, the like, just the genuine feeling behind it. Like, the characters are actually pretty damn good. Like, all of them have got a reason for why they're there. Takumi's just kind of great. He doesn't give a fuck about anything. Everyone else is kind of like, oh shit, what's happening here? And Takumi's just kind of like, just going around. Corners like it's nothing. The man doesn't give a fuck about anything. I actually kind of love it. He just goes for it. And that's the level of chat you actually need in this kind of show, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it has that feeling that you can't get enough of it. Each episode actually kind of hooks you in. It's about cars as well, and cars are kind of one of those things that tend to kind of just be a very hit and miss concept. It's really hard to pull off. Does that count as a pun? Pull off an actual show that actually makes you come back each week, but this show does it very damn well. It's also very like, oh, as well all the time as well. That's the other thing to note. Like, the actual show gets you pumped every single turn. Pardon the pun. Hello, hello, once again. Bros are so shocked that they're actually turning into 2D, 2D actually more 2D than they were beforehand. Hello, hello. He's so casual about it all, though. That's the other thing to note. He's so casual. God damn. Those graphics. They don't make them like that nowadays. Unless you count Berserk. Then they kind of do still make that nowadays, but God. CG still somewhat holds up. Man's is just like, shit, what's happening here? What's going on? I can't deal with this. And Takumi's just calm, just rolling. Man's rolling. I don't know about you, but the drifts get so damn close. You're like, ooh. Every single drift is kind of like, will they just clip each other? It literally takes one clip for a car to just kind of just rear off completely. It's our boy Koyasu. He's so casual. I like it so much. He's just so unbelievably casual. They are unbelievably neck and neck right now. Oh shit, it's gonna overtake him. he's gonna do it. Will he do it though? Will he pull off the inertia drift? So our boy Koyasu. I do actually wonder whether or not he actually like if it happens to just be an 8.6 on top of Akina as well now, just as a kind of like a memento for the whole entire thing. That would be kind of cool. Now see if Takumi wants to flex the entire thing, he'll literally just pull off a nerd drift over the finish line. That's what I would probably do. Just do a nerd drift over the finish line. Clearly, everyone knows. Konbanwa, Genki desu ka? Clearly, everyone knows it's the power of Eurobeat that's actually making him win the whole entire battle. No Eurobeat, you go about 8 miles per hour. Eurobeat initiated 150 miles per hour. Everyone knows it. It's Eurobeat. It's the king of making you go faster. This show does really want me to go and buy an actual 8.6 though. Even though I didn't really like driving that much, I just want an 8.6 now. I just want to have one. Ooh. Koyasu means business now. Oh yeah, I should say Ryosuke, but I call him Kayase now. Oh man. The show's good. The show's really good. It's just a good show to watch, just to calm down after a long day. Though this, if I remember correctly, the actual Akina Mountain is actually a real place. I do actually want to go and visit it now and actually just kind of go. It's pretty freaking cool, bro. So it's kind of interesting though, because it's not just like he won the entire race. Now it kind of sends ripples through the entire system itself. So now there'll probably be a lot more like battles against Takumi as well. So I wonder what actually, yeah, it has a lot of narrative implication in a way. It's actually kind of neat. Mm-hmm. Because it's the first episode of the whole entire anime. That's probably why. So what do you lose? It's so early on in the narrative. I have to kind of build that level of anticipation to win again. That's why I lost, bro. Huh. Huh. Only he could pull it off, though. Only he could do it. It's kind of interesting though, using the actual drainage pipe or drainage area as an actual a thing to actually I guess harness the centrifugal force of the entire corner. That's actually kind of neat. I'm not gonna lie. Immediate loses though. He's like, I'm gonna beat the 8-6 who just immediately loses. It's like, damn it! We also can agree also that the actual other way that Takumi actually won the entire race is because of Eurobeat itself. Eurobeat is like the harness of all speed. You don't need not just Oxide to actually go faster. You just need to put on Eurobeat. That's all you need. You got a date. Do you actually kind of like that though? It's very interesting because you do actually kind of wonder why is Takumi so like casual about the whole entire thing. And I guess it is kind of like it is valid that he kind of just sees it in a very cynical way. It doesn't really kind of have like fun essentially. It's just kind of like it's just a thing for him at this point in life. I guess you need that spark again to actually kind of ignite, pardon the pun, because it is a car that you ignite using a key. So pun. How many puns do you actually get in this one stream? I wonder. You have to actually kind of get that ignition, pardon the pun, to actually then kind of like fill something for driving essentially. I'm actually just hello. Accidentally doing some really good puns this stream. It's probably without realizing as well. I'm not realizing I'm actually doing the puns because there's a lot of car puns that you just kind of like you say without realizing. You do an instant replay and Takumi's just kind of like just drifting around corners constantly without realizing. It's like, well, I was just driving like I normally do. It's kind of nice to just kind of see him just pull off a drift and go into second drift. To be honest, it's kind of cool. Dude just got vibe checked. Literally. Ooh, a little hint of romance. A little hint of romance here as well. Ooh. I mean, you could interpret it as that as well. To be honest, I guess in a way. Because practically speaking, if you were to actually do this, in real life, it would in theory be kind of like a traffic invasion kind of thing. But I guess in the show it's a sport, technically speaking, I guess. So I think technically drifting in this kind of race, or street racing itself, is a sport. It's just it's kind of like it's more underground, I guess. least nowadays. So I don't know how you actually organise an actual street race, because I know there's illegal street racing as well. There's both sides of it. So I don't actually know how you organise a street race itself. This show's cool. God, do you remember disposable cameras? God, I feel so old. Oh god, disposable cameras were like the norm until phones came out and with actual cameras that were good. Oh. Oh. I do wonder actually doing for redo like race courses. We're actually doing for racing some of the cars from Initial D, because that would be freaking awesome. This show's good. I do love this show. This show's good. It's just so much fun. It's fun, kind of. It's a really enjoyable series. It actually has a lot of like thought put into it as well. It's not just, by the way, here's a bunch of cars and here's a bunch of dudes racing. Essentially, it's not that. It's actually a lot more going on. It makes it more enjoyable because you're doing free learn how they actually doing free pull off the amazing feats they do. In essence, Takumi using the actual drainage system in the corner to actually then harness all the centrifugal force to actually then go forward with. That's kind of neat. You're like, huh, I would never have thought of that. But it's also very simple and actually very kind of like something that would in theory be extremely normal. But when you think about it, you're like, that's really clever when you think about it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's one of those ideas you kind of think to yourself, well, that makes a lot of sense. Why isn't that used more often, kind of thing? But it doesn't very work. It's a really kind of clever idea. It's stuff like that kind of like adds a lot more to the races. It's not just, by the way, it's a race essentially. It's just a lot of thought go into like the corners, the actual then eventual outcomes, and everything like that. It's not just, by the way, race essentially. And I like that about it. Plus, there's also a lot of heart going on also in this show as well. And since the whole entire thing with the actual, well, possible maybe romance as well, it's neat. It's a really kind of like, it's not just, by the way, it's just dudes racing essentially. It's actually a lot more going on. It's a lot more thought put into this whole entire show. And I think that's actually what makes this show so fresh in a way, because it's a sports show that actually has a lot more heart to it than your average sports show, because sports shows do tend to actually kind of fall into a pitfall. Essentially, is that also a pun? I'm not even too sure. they fall into a pitfall sometimes. It kind of makes you you've seen it all before essentially. You kind of feel bored, like, what's the point of watching a show like this? I've already seen it, bruh. But at least this show actually kind of always constantly like breaks the mold somewhat. Actually kind of like it brings something new to the table, even 23 years later, or 22 years I should say. It speeds past the competition, and there you go. One other pun as well. I do actually love the actual scenes of them inside the actual car as well, because it's like I think it's done by compositing itself. Like it's a cell that's composited, that's actually has the thing composited over the top of or underneath it, I have to say. Does it make any sense what I just said? I think what I said makes sense. I imagine it's a cell, like it's a cell. It's a cell animation like thing, and then they paste the thing beneath it essentially, and that's what creates the actual like effect. Or it's a layer, and that's how it's a layer essentially, like in Photoshop essentially. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. I'm not even too sure it does. The heat's getting to me. The heat do be playing tricks on my brain. Right, let's actually put a tweet out saying we're watching episode 6. Alright, hopefully that is good to go. Most certainly are. So we actually can, in theory, carry on, as I always say. Right. Let's carry on. Let's actually continue watching Initial D. Probably will do this more often now, because I've kind of like completely figured out this season's anime, so actually can, in theory, just incorporate more of these shows into it. Maybe do some shorter shows at the same time. Right, so let's actually start this thing in 3, 2, 1. Let's start this thing absolutely now. The real question is how many more puns actually get into this one stream. That is the real question. But yeah, I mean, it's just this show has something. If you get what I mean. It's what these shows back then used to be like. They used to have something to them that keeps them fresh. Because they weren't really chasing something, essentially. Like, they were kind of being their own thing. They weren't kind of being, like, they weren't made to be something, essentially. Like you get with a lot of shows sometimes, especially with films as well. Films tend to try to be something, and it's kind of like, you've seen it all before, essentially. But these shows back in this era, and also 2000s, and somewhat 2010s as well, they all kind of were just their own thing, and actually kind of feel, that's why they kind of still feel fresh, because you don't get this so often nowadays. And if the stuff you get so often nowadays, the older stuff still actually kind of fresher in a way. It still kind of feels a lot better, because it's back then it wasn't so around, I guess. Is that the way to describe it? That is true. I've come full circle. I should actually have my name as an Initial D reference. It actually would have come full circle, but alas, my name's a reference to a different driving film called Drive. So it kind of counts. It might also be influenced by Initial D. I have zero idea. But yeah, this show just feels good. I like it a lot. I can imagine living on top of the mountain and being like, God, I'm trying to stream, Jesus. God, about the times I actually heard people trying to pull off drifts on my road, it's beyond belief. See what I mean? Eurobeat kicks in, they go faster. It's the key to like to win. It's Eurobeat. I tell you, it's Eurobeat. I do wonder how the Blu-ray release of this whole entire show actually is in comparison to like the 480p version I'm watching right now. It must look a bit crisper, I guess. Is that a goddamn owl outside my door as well? It's goddamn not even 6 p.m. Bro, it's not even night time. It's a goddamn owl outside my window. It's come by to watch Initial D. I know a GTR car because I've seen this a lot. I should call one of my clans in something, the Red Suns. Someone might get a reference. Ooh. Bro came all the way. Came all the way to actually see the 86 actually probably beat him as well and was vibe checked like instantly. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The bro has pissed him off. And he's just calm about the whole entire thing. And if I just shows you like the corner, like the mountain it's on, it's like, oh shit, if they fall, goddamn. Bruh. That could have been fatal. Though it's kind of cool that even like smaller characters in the show also like, even though you get kind of like a small bit of time with them, you actually understand why they're essentially kind of like fighting for what they're fighting for, essentially. Because Takumi is actually kind of like very laid back, actually kind of very like, as we know now, doesn't see much in driving itself. It's interesting to see how it then is contrasted with everyone else who fights against him, essentially. Because everyone's fighting for a cause that actually is very serious, essentially. Because the pride's broken ones actually lose because they kind of believe their car's the best. Jesus Christ. It's kind of interesting. It's very interesting, actually. But if you actually look underneath the hood, pardon the pun, of the show, it kind of does in through feel like it feels like a shonen anime, if you get what I mean. In that kind of way that you have the main character, you have different factions who are against the main character. This main character actually is kind of like the best thing since sliced bread, but not in the kind of usual context. And I don't know, it works. If you transpose said formula to a different genre and actually a different kind of like feeling, it does in theory work really damn well. Because again, you kind of do imagine there would be someone like Takumi in real life, someone who actually has in theory mastered all of, like the corners and everything like that. But then actually kind of see how he did it essentially is even cooler as well. That'd be an interesting twist. The entire show becomes a golfing anime. season 4, Takumi starts driving backwards. Just does the whole entire thing backwards. That would be an interesting twist. Pardon the pun, I guess. Twisting car corner pun. Starts doing the whole entire thing backwards. That's a real question. Can you actually do a backwards drift? Like, just turn the car around, reverse, and just do a drift? It's actually kind of interesting how many corners this actual like mountain actually doesn't very have. Oh my god, he got so goddamn close. Takumi just kind of like, what? It's how I usually drive. He's out cold. Damn. You just let someone else beat the actual 8-6. You're actually considered actually not that good. Damn. These rankings are actually like really brutal. I guess they've got to put the pedal to the metal to actually win. Ooh, hey. There's a lot of like technical names I'm actually learning right now. By the end of this whole entire series, I actually will, in theory, be a pro when it comes to cars. He's not spacey, he's just vibing. He's just vibing. This show's got it all, apparently, when you think about it. Oh, the boy's growing to like driving itself. He's doing it. That corner was a bit rough. Must admit, that corner was a little bit rough. Is he gonna get vibe checked though? Is he gonna get vibe checked? Is he gonna get vibe checked? That's the real question. Oh, I mean, and now we have the battle set up for the actual future episodes. Once again, a very good episode. It kind of does. It's highlighting now the changing in the characters, essentially. This is otherwise kind of the part of the narrative where the characters start to actually kind of grow more, grow to kind of appreciate what they're doing a little bit more, I guess. It's kind of what's happened to Takumi now. Takumi's kind of like, racing, not that bad. Kind of like it. Driving, kind of cool. So you can tell that there's parts in this whole entire show that actually begin to change people, essentially. Actually, it's kind of cool, because it kind of then makes what they're doing less of just a necessity for the narrative itself, and more of like a reason, essentially, for it existing. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, in essence, like, it's not just, oh yeah, by the way, they've got to race because the narrative actually is telling them they've got to race. No, it's more the fact is they're racing, but also then they start to learn things about themselves at the same time of racing. It's racing as well. That's actually kind of a crucial difference about this kind of show, is that they give reason to why they give reason to why they're actually in through racing. And it actually makes the whole entire thing more kind of cooler in a way, because it's not just, by the way, they're just kind of going down, they're actually going downhill. No. One's regaining the actual, like, love for what he does, while the other actually is trying to kind of claim the actual victory, and actually then the actual, like, the pride that comes with it, essentially, because, as we know, if you actually kind of do free lose in a, Tis true, what is racing? That is the most philosophical question of all, when you think about it. Because when you think about it, when you lose, your pride does in theory get completely broken, because it's one of those things that you kind of believe that your car is the best. So you do understand where other characters do in theory come from, like in essence how they would in theory feel broken essentially as a concept, because it's one of those things. It's not just, by the way, they're kind of racing. They're racing for a reason. The reason is very crucial to them. So they actually kind of lose. It's actually one of those things that it's kind of like it's a knock essentially. It's a knock that then they have to regain it. It then goes back to this whole entire idea of it kind of being like a shonen anime, how when a character loses to the main character, it's a knock to them psychologically in a way, and actually have to regain that. They go back to actually kind of train, actually kind of then come back with something better, actually kind of then race essentially. So it's one of those things that I like how this show structures itself. It structures itself on the pretense that you actually do in for understand, like, the actual conventions of different kinds of genres, because it kind of incorporates them into the show essentially. It's like it's very much a show of very many genres in a way. It's not just, by the way, this show is just a sports show. It's a sports show, but also a show in anime, mixed in with a bunch of other things as well. They actually do really work in tandem with each other. They actually kind of create this experience that kind of feels very enriching in a way. It's one of those things that the race itself isn't just a race. It's more of a kind of like a proving ground, which is, I guess, also a pun, technically speaking. It's a proving ground for them to actually kind of say that I can do this. I'm not backing down from doing this. I will go forward and actually kind of win. And then when you actually hear other characters actually then wanting to race the 8-6 as well. It makes their kind of reasoning kind of feel like it's very much different from our own main protagonist's actual kind of reasons, but you do understand why they want to race essentially. It's actually kind of very crucial to them. It's very crucial to actually them wanting to actually kind of like continue. That it's kind of like the 8-6 actually is kind of like this mythical creature in a way, like something that has to be defeated to actually kind of gain this level of knowledge or level of power that's not seen by other people, actually gain this level of respect that isn't seen by other people as well. It's something to actually kind of hold on to. It kind of is like this. It's this pivotal part of a person's life essentially. Like the 8-6 actually kind of coming into this whole entire narrative is like a sense of like wanting to overcome it. It's almost working in reverse, pardon the pun, for other shows, because technically speaking, other shows, when protagonists actually kind of doing free, kind of see a point they actually have to like overcome essentially. Technically, Takumi actually is that point that the other characters have to overcome in a way. In a way, Takumi represents what the protagonist should in theory be winning for, rather than what the antagonist or the other characters in this context, because they're really antagonists so to speak, actually have to actually win for essentially. Like it's almost working in reverse. It's a reverse kind of show, but it works in its own way. Like the idea of actually how they kind of structured Takumi's actual character, his actual prowess into the actual narrative, do work, because it kind of makes him seem as if he's the obstacle for the other people to actually overcome, rather than he has to overcome these obstacles in a way. Because yeah, there's obstacles for him, don't get me wrong, but it's not to the same degree as, like, say, with Ryosuke and also then Keisuke as well. Keisuke and Ryosuke actually have something that they actually have to prove. They actually have to win. It's something they have to do. And with the GTR as well, it's the exact same kind of idea. But with Takumi, it's kind of very different. You actually saw it when he was actually racing in the actual episode of Prior. it was more for the actual kind of like the idea of him winning and actually then him getting a full tank than anything else. With Keisuke, it was actually kind of like proving he actually can in theory win against this mythical creature in a way, but he couldn't. So actually it's very neat. It's a very kind of neat subversion of the entire, like, I guess, the character in a way, because it's not the same kind of feeling. It's different. I actually kind of like it. So yeah, as time goes on, we'll probably watch more of this show. So that actually is me done for today. So as always, the actual end of the stream in Japanese, as I always do. If I do find it. If I do find it. So anyway. ご視聴ありがとうございます。僕の動画を面白いと思ったら、いいねやチャンネル登録をお願いします。So, with all that said, I have indeed been a driver. Actually have enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole on YouTube and doing free. Leave a like because indeed it's been quite a bit. She have then enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole on YouTube and doing free. Leave a sub because indeed that's been quite a bit as well. She have then enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole on YouTube and doing free. Share the video around. Share a channel around as well, because it then gets more noticed, and actually then the algorithm will not kick my ass so much, because as it's doing recently, which is kind of very true, the algorithm is being terrible to me lately. So any shares around actually doesn't really help. She kind of then make this channel more known to the search algorithm as well. So if you do all that, you do in free have my total gratitude, but also actually can in free follow me on Twitter, or join a Discord as well, because both do help me quite a lot, and both then tell you when your streams go live and any other streams I do as well. We'll find some more initial D. See you guys later. Bye for now.